I have these friends, Dan and Sheila. They're podcast hosts.
Welcome to Profiling Criminal Minds. I'm Dan.
And I'm Dr. Redmond.
And, I'm just going to say it. I had a great time this week. Very happy with this week's episode. We're going to get into the details. But,
Called it.
Oh, yeah, we were totally right. It was less sinister than we were worried about, but we were completely right. To the point where it's like you almost think, like, guys, why are you surprised that this is her fault? You know, like, who else could it have been?
Yeah. I mean, that was the point.
Yeah.
Who else could it have been? There were 3 people who were involved in writing this damn thing.
Oh, God, I know. Although I did enjoy the drive-by of, so they kept her out of it so men could get credit for creating the BAU. No, she wasn't an FBI agent. It's not about sexism. She wasn't in the FBI.
I know.
You're not going to give someone credit for creating part of the FBI if they're not in the FBI. That's what happened the first time, too. That's what happened with Ann Burgess. Everyone knows she worked on it, but it's like, she wasn't in the FBI.
Not only was she not in the FBI, she was contracted to do the work.
Yeah, exactly.
That she loved to do the work, that it was her field of expertise is one thing, but she still wasn't.
Yeah.
It is weird. It is weird how they, but it is. I mean, she was arrogant. Yeah. That was the problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that it has nothing to do with the fact that she was overlooked. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. So if they had published the papers, it would have been under their names and she would have gotten the footnote like I did with one of my boss's papers.
Her name might have been on it too. Who knows? But the point is, this is arrogance is what we're watching because they didn't publish it because they thought it was too dangerous. And she decided for herself, I know better. The potential upside is too big for us to hide this away. And that's why, again, great performance by Felicity Huffman, her being so horrified at what her arrogance led to.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, when we get to the end and she is just devastated that this is her fault, we'll get there. Exactly.
We'll get there. Sort of how. Saying, this is
because
her
she is arrogant episode. To the end of this episode.
All the way. Yeah. She really
Full
is.
On arrogance.
Yeah.
You know, and sort of Dave is still kind of falling for it, except that not only that, but she's manipulating Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly. In that, yeah, because she doesn't want, I mean, it was great. I mean, she thinks she can fix
great
this.
Episode.
It was a great episode across the board from beginning to end. It tracks well. I didn't feel a false moment in it.
Yeah.
Including, I would have liked them to have pushed a little further on the fact that there's more than one of these programs.
Yeah, that's a horrifying idea. But you know what? We still got 2
more episodes.
In which we're going to find out that Clark Gregg is responsible for all of this.
I wish someone had just said, right, that, you know, that, we're going to have to find those other programs.
Yeah, just like, you be alarmed by it, but it's like, mention, because all we see is them being alarmed by it. It's like, no, this should be an action item for everybody.
Yeah, this is the number one. This is while everybody else is out running around.
This is what Penelope
got to
should
find
be working
these other
on.
Schools.
Yeah, because
and that should have been in this episode.
Yeah. Now, again, it might be. To be fair, it might be in next week's episode because the funding from Stewart House had to come from somewhere, and that's her thing of tracking down, and then she can see where else that funding went. But so yes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm assuming that they're going to.
Oh, yeah.
I would have just. And this is my being pedantic.
No, but I understand why you wish they would have just assigned her to the task, because it's not like she has anything to do towards the end of the episode. So it's like, tease up next week and give her a task that she's going to be doing off camera between now and next week, So we're
Yeah.
off and running. And so you've got a hook for what's happening next week, which we don't have.
And
the
I'm
same way.
yes, and well, if they don't go to all of the other schools, it's just like as I said, it's mirroring. We've talked about this already. It is mirroring those LSD experiments.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
For sure. That happened at lots more schools than McGill.
Oh, it's not just McGill. McGill's just the one we know about.
Well, McGill is the one that we know about in Canada and was
Canada.
such a big deal for us.
It was, because
But there was
actual
more in
doctors
Canada,
working
too.
at McGill, were the ones co-creating these studies of how to destroy people's minds with LSD. Like, it's horrific stuff. Okay,
every
we're not
time
getting
I
into
think about it,
we're not getting into
we've
MK
talked about
Ultra,
it already. So
Yeah.
let's let it go.
But yeah, right from
because-
the start, this episode is off to a good place because they don't hide, they don't reveal. She just says, "Yeah, of course I'm responsible for all of this." There's.
I loved the fight they were having at the beginning, though. I thought, what a good way to start. No. I mean, that's what they're starting. They start with the fight.
So for the record, they had an emotional affair. She didn't actually cheat on Jason. Although it's a little weird to blame Jason, right? The David being there for Jason not being in the FBI anymore. No, he quit all on his own. The man quit all by himself. He didn't need help.
Well, and I will say that emotional affairs are just as bad.
Devastating. Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
As like everybody wants to say adultery is the physical thing.
Yeah.
No,
it's
adultery.
Now,
Jason, I mean, basically Jason checked out emotionally. So the two of them leaned on one another with what is essentially an emotional affair.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly it just highlights that the marriage was in massive trouble anyway. It's not surprising that the marriage broke up later on.
No, not at all.
But here's the point that David is making when he starts talking about this with Emily, makes the point that this is where all of his relationships with women went wrong. Well, yeah, because you need to cut bait or fish? Fish or cut bait.
And by the way, don't give me this, it all started with Jill. You already had a marriage and a secret daughter by the time you met Jill. So don't give me this, it all started with Jill. It did.
Well, he didn't know about the secret daughter.
No, I'm just telling you. He was already married to a diplomat who he refused to, give up his career and commit to. And then he didn't know about his secret daughter, but he had a secret daughter too.
And then he had the second marriage, and then he blames that when Jill and Jason's marriage breaks up.
Yeah.
No. Dave is all off on.
Yeah.
Except that this one is the one he kind of feels guilty about because he had an affair but didn't have an affair.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's a guilt level, plus it's all wound up in this particular research project.
Oh, absolutely. So emotions are heightened.
Yes. When he comes back, because there's also the thing, she blames him for Jason's death. Now she walks that back.
Of course. But she's lashing out because she's just as much as fault as he is, and she doesn't want to admit that to herself.
The two of them, it was...
they got lots of guilt
she has, as I say, it's the arrogance of thinking that she could control this and put this out, and how if we could understand how they're made, we can unmake it. Obviously, Alice Miller hadn't been around at that point, so
no.
She couldn't actually talk to Alice Miller, who was screwed up in her own way, but
definitely would have been a good source for this project they were working on.
She could have. They could have talked to Alice Miller and probably had some insights, because Alice does say, and the funny thing is what Alice Miller says is that all you need is one person in between, that can anchor you in a positive sense of self.
You need intervention.
And we'll talk about this in terms of Damien. Remind me to bring that up again when we talk about Damien.
I'm just teasing this. What an ending.
What an ending. No, it was a beautiful ending. And I'm just going, this was the height of your arrogance.
Yep.
How could you think that he would be able to live with the truth once you told it to him?
Oh, but anyway,
and once he accepted it,
I know
we'll get there for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, Felicity, yes, but you watch her already. We talked last time about her massive manipulation of Emily.
Yep.
Right? And how good she is at it. And she was probably always good at it. But she couldn't manipulate Jason.
No.
And so that marriage is going to break up.
Oh yeah.
But, it is an interesting watching, like she's putting in a beautiful performance last week and this week. A thumbs up.
I know this isn't the kind of
up.
show that gets Emmys, right? I'd like to see her nominated for a best guest performance.
Yeah.
I think she deserves it. You know, but this isn't the kind of show that gets nominated for Emmys.
Well,
tragically.
the hard
Although
thing
honestly,
is
for cinematography, it should this year. It looks
oh
great.
my God, the cinematography on this episode, like, you know, the one that sticks out to me is where you have the 3 cars coming to their campsite, and you've got the black one, right? The BAU one coming in the middle, and then the two angling out. I just thought, what a gorgeous shot.
It is. Or when he's coming to get her in her own house, and it's like the screen is they're willing to make the screen basically pitch black.
Yeah.
Like, they never would have been willing to do that in the past. They're taking chances. Because, again, this is the darkest moment for both of these characters, and we're getting visual signifier of that. Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And it is stunning to watch all of this. I'm going, well, as a show, like, you cannot give anybody, well, except for Montaigne, you know, I mean, but no, as in terms of if you were going, well, best actor,
it's an ensemble cast,
whatever, it's an ensemble cast, and you can't, and there's no ensemble cast Emmy yet.
There's no Emmy for cast. I think there's a Golden Globe for cast, but who cares about the Golden Globes, you know?
Yeah, but this is so it would be hard to do any breakout other than maybe with Joe
Montaigne.
Yeah. And even then, right? It's like,
well, but the problem is you're putting him up against, you know, like huge people. If you could, because you can't nominate him for
run their shows.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're putting him up against these giant performances. You're putting him up against the guy who stars in The Bear every year that everyone loves. You know, it's like, it's just not a situation where even if they got him nominated miraculously, I don't think he'd have a chance to win it. That said, I'd love to see him get the nomination.
Well, the thing is that he's still part of the ensemble.
Yeah, he is.
Like, there is no, like, even though his performances are so poignant, like everything he does is so good this year.
It's so, you know what there is? There's so much weight to it. He's conveying all of the history of this character.
Yes. I mean, it is just because the chickens have come home to roost, as we would say.
Again, wish they didn't forget he's got a daughter and grandkids out there.
I know.
You know,
well,
son-in-law is a professional basketball player, and just like stuff that I wish they'd mention every day.
Except that Dave has always been a massively self-involved character.
He absolutely is. That's
and
at the
so
core of who he is as a person.
I mean, yes, that is all happening. But where you could say, where have they been while he was falling apart after Crystal died of cancer?
Obviously, he shut everybody out. We all know that.
He's just, and that's how he handles everything. He compartmentalizes so that he can do this and hallucinate his people.
Yep.
That he needs to help him solve whatever it is he wants to solve, rather than go inside. I am not surprised.
I'm not saying that this is out of character for him. I just wish they got mentioned. You know? Just mention how he can't even reach out. No, mention that he's not even reaching out to his family because he's got family.
Yeah, but there is nothing.
But I agree with you that he wouldn't, but I think somebody should call him on that.
There is nothing that they can do for him.
No. And that, by the way, that can be his response.
Yes.
I'm just saying somebody should say it. That's my only point.
Yes. So it is, yes. Okay. We're quibbling again. Again, we're being pedantic about some of this stuff because the episode is it's so good. The section, like the little section with the lawyer.
Oh, but before we get to the lawyer, so we see them running out to murder this guy in his house, right, and do the fake suicide. And it's so the plot this year is in this weird space because like they keep talking about the fake conspiracy that he has been convinced to kill by, right? That they are using to control him. But it's like there is a giant real conspiracy going on. Like some corporation in cahoots with the United States government created a program to generate hitmen. Like, and this guy's not even denying it.
No. You know, I mean, this guy does try to say, well, yeah, but it's much bigger. Let me explain.
Yeah.
And they don't care.
No, they don't care.
No, they don't care.
For them, it's eye for an eye.
Yeah. And which now explains finally they're going to the biblical eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth thing, talionic justice.
Yep.
And that's all they care about. And it explains the inoculation.
Inoculation is the word you're looking for.
Inoculation. Yes, I knew it wasn't in. But anyway, inoculation thing.
Yeah.
So it is so. And then, I mean, because she says, okay, and then she gives a list of all of these doctors. 11 of them, and they're
everybody
all
who worked on the project at Stewart House have been coincidentally killed themselves or been involved in suspicious accident. Damien has been very busy.
Damien has been very busy long before Gold Star.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's all as part of the Gold Star program.
Well, but what happens is before the BAU became aware
before the
of Gold
BAU.
Star.
No, but I'm just saying that.
So there were all of these people
but
who
now
died.
we know.
11 of them
the fact that he's been killing all these people. No, 11 people total, 6 before, 5 after.
Okay.
But yes, but the point is, now we know why he had, why someone called a hit team to kill all of the GS, the 5 GS, 1 through 5, is because someone had been going around killing all the doctors who worked on Gold Star.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh my God, it can only be the kids we brutalized. Quick, hire somebody to go and murder all of those kids. Like, it's all fitting together. Like, that's the thing. And it started with this crazy spy premise, but it's like, yeah, Damien's been going around killing these people, and somebody noticed.
Yep.
I'm like, that's just smart. It's just well constructed this year. And I know I say that a lot, but it's completely true. The mystery is really well constructed this year.
Yeah, and it is A1.
Oh my God. And it's as much of a spy show this year as it ever was with Ian Doyle, but I'm loving it.
Yes. And this is, it is, when you look at these guys and Damien's going out and killing them all, but I think okay, never mind. I was just going to say this conspiracy. I don't know exactly where I was going to go with it.
Okay.
The conspiracy thing was, as you say, there is a real conspiracy.
There is an actual
going on. No,
conspiracy.
I know. What I was going to say is that I love the interaction very early on between Damien and Jade over how Damien found Sicarius or Voight.
Yeah.
And what he told him, right? Like what Voight told him. And Jade looks and says, that's it? And I'm just going.
Yeah, okay. That's a really good moment.
You know, that was a really good moment. And I think that her PTSD is like so
realistically handled.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Clear, devastating. It hasn't gone away. She still has nightmares about what was done to her. She
Yep.
still can't talk about it, but she doesn't need to talk about it to Damien.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then when she says, I can't go into a cage again.
Yeah.
And they make, you know, and they
The
make
suicide pact.
the suicide pact.
Such a good
So
scene.
that neither one of them will ever end up in jail because they can't, which of course indicates that they had been caged as well as part of Stewart House.
Well, no, I mean, they were locked up in Stewart House.
Yeah.
And we can discuss how literal the word cage is going to be, but the fact is, they were prisoners in this abuse.
Yeah, I have a feeling
this
that they probably used cage closet sort of
Wouldn't
things
shock me
at times
if they
to
were
punish
essentially
them.
locked in solitary.
Sensory deprivation. I have a whole stack of
solitary literally drives people insane. Like that's just a fact. Like it is used to drive people insane. Like this is, hey, you know the technique we use to actually drive people insane when we're trying to interrogate them, you know, criminally in our black sites all around the world? Let's just commonly do that to prisoners in our jails who we're supposed to be trying to rehabilitate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire American carceral system is it
isn't even the American
disaster.
Because they're not supposed to. There are real limits now on how long someone can stay in solitary.
Yeah.
In Canada, it's being abused federally. It's being abused provincially.
Of course it is.
Well, yeah, we can't handle them. Well, we don't have enough people. Well, yeah, okay, you know, then maybe
hire
you should
more
find
people.
Well, not just hire more people, but why don't you hire more people to do intervention earlier?
Yeah, so we wouldn't have so much crime.
Positive intervention instead of the Stewart House intervention.
Oh, yeah.
Because these foster homes are not good. Anyway, it's one of the things that actually works. And I don't even know if we did pilot programs on those, but is that early intervention where you take social workers and have them interact within the family structure, over periods of time before it gets too bad.
The thing that got me was, and this is like how the naivety of academics, right?
Oh shit! Don't talk to me about it. That's my paper next week.
I know you're going to deliver a paper exactly about this in a week
I don't
and a half.
say that in
but
the
that's
paper.
what it's about. But no,
that's
like
what
it's
about.
so perfectly shown off, right? In Jill. Because she's like, oh, if we could just get out and intervene with these kids using this knowledge of how psychopaths are created, we could stop. And I'm like, where are the resources to do that going to come from, Jill?
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I hate to go to capitalism, but where's the money in doing that, Jill?
Yeah. Follow the money, honey. That's not where the money is, because if you have nice, healthy children, you're not going to have children who are willing to go to war.
No, you're not going to have children who are happy to go to war. You're not going to have jails full making money for the people who run jails.
Yeah. Has anybody been watching Kingston?
Mayor of Kingstown.
Mayor of Kingstown?
A brutal portrayal of what's wrong with the American prison. Private prison for profit. Try and wrap your head around the term prison for profit. Yeah.
So, I mean, and
it's like she's so naive. She thinks, oh, well, if I just tell people about this, then we'll start intervening with kids. Who's going to do the intervention? How are you going to locate the kids?
How are you going to persuade people to spend the money?
The money necessary. How are you going to get past the whole idea, the American idea that people have, that people own their children and don't want the government over their shoulder? Because spoiler alert, the kind of people who have these borderline psychopathic kids are probably the kind of people who caused those problems and don't want the government interfering with the way they're raising their children.
Well, of course not, because
she is so unrealistic in what she thinks is going to happen.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, I know, right? But the thing is, she is unrealistic in her beliefs, and that is 100% realistic in how academics look at this.
Well, what happens is so much of it is and I hate to use it, academic, right?
Yeah.
This is not the real world, guys.
No.
Come back to the real world where these things matter, where when you make decisions and you put forth theories, they are theories and there are unintended consequences and unintended. And there was a real reason why Dave and Jason, and this is where they get the kudos, said, no, we are not doing this. This is too dangerous.
And she thought she knew better. And now a lot of kids' lives have been ruined and people have been murdered because she thought she knew better.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, I just
it's
sort of
really
sit there.
well done. It is
and it
so
is
well
because, and here's why: it is because Jason and David understand, because they've been working with these serial killers.
Yeah, she's a theory
and they
person.
understand.
Yeah,
they cannot do this.
Yeah,
because
it's too dangerous. Because the last thing we need is more serial killers.
Yeah, and they have a skewed and they would call it. You see, this is, and I'm sure this is because Jill, and this is what tells you that Jill was not really involved in the BAU. So the drive-by is unacceptable.
Yeah,
because if she had been really involved, she would have had second thoughts as well.
No.
And how come Jason...
For her, these were always just case files.
Yes.
That's the thing. When she was doing the BAU building work, she was just reading files. She wasn't going to crime scenes. She wasn't looking at bodies. She wasn't dealing with the gritty reality of any of this. And it's just like, she didn't go and interview these kids. She just looked at files. She
looked at files and weeded through on the files and never met any of these children.
Nope. Never did an interview, never tried to see them again as humans, all she did.
They were just, they were objects. They were files.
They were just files for her experiment. I mean, it's really well done.
Oh yeah. No, I as I said, I don't have any
flaws. Their depiction of her is, she's such a fascinating, flawed character.
Because she's a nice person.
Oh yeah.
Sort of.
I'm sure she was a good mother because Steven seems great. And we know that Jason was not a good father. We know for a fact that Jason
either
wasn't
of
a good
his
father
children.
Because, look at Spencer Reed. We know Jason wasn't a good father.
Yeah.
Oh my God, right? But we know she was a good mother. But, there were these other kids who needed her help and she didn't give it. She turned them over
set it up
to be turned into she turned these kids over to be turned into monsters.
Yeah.
And she, they let her go. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't blow the whistle. You didn't talk about it. You didn't follow up on it. You're just like, Emily saying you'll look after this kid whose dad was cutting out hearts. And then you never thought about it again. And he wound up being manipulated by a psychiatrist into becoming a mass murderer. For whatever problems you might have with that episode, it really does say a lot about Emily as a person. Damn.
Well, yes, because but you see, these are all terribly flawed characters.
Exactly.
all of our people who work in the BAU.
They really are. They're all damaged people. And that's part of what makes them so fascinating. And what I'm really enjoying about the season now is, before, the damage was always just implicit, right?
Yeah.
And we had to talk about meta characters. Now the damage is right there in front of us.
Well, and I think, but now, we've talked before about why we watch the show, but one of the reasons you watch the show is these characters are so compelling. God. And even were in the worst seasons, we never blamed basically the sort of the acting or the character, the people. They did become people because they were so flawed and they were so screwed up, and we could get really, really pissed off at the way they behave. Okay.
But as we talked about
that's the way they were written.
What is the show saying? There was a weird consistency to their terrible behavior. Like,
Yeah. And
these horribly damaged people, there is a consistency to how they behave, right? And there's a consistency to who they are fundamentally that the writers never really lost track of.
and the thing is that you can be damaged and still function very well.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just every now and then, and you cannot know what it is that is going to happen.
Yeah, what is going to set
that is
you
going
off.
to set them off. Yeah, and I think that that's what people like about them. They make they make mistakes. They're human.
Mm-hmm.
It is very interesting sometimes when you watch this, and they're doing it so well this season, last season, this season is even
again
better. No
than it's
question.
ever been.
Aisha was right.
This is their best season.
Hands down the best season they've ever had, and we still don't have the last 2 episodes.
I know. Oh my God, it's all gonna get real. So here's okay. Now I'm gonna be petty and say and then call them out for their ridiculous geographic profiling.
I know.
Oh my God, that scene. They can't help themselves.
They can't.
So they're like, we got to figure out where Damien and Jade are, right? We got to figure out where Damien and Jade are. And so they're
this
like,
was
okay,
so stupid.
Logically, they're going to be camping, right? So put all of the.
And they talk about a home base.
No, yeah, they got to have a home base. I'm like,
and then they come up with 12 home bases.
Yeah, it's like they got to have a home base. No, they have to have campsites. They're on the road. You have no idea where their home base is because you don't have a geographic profile because they have specific targets. Geographic profile is only useful if an animal is hunting and you figure out what their hunting ground is and how that relates to where their home must be. But they're not just hunting, they're targeting specific people. But anyway, so geographic profile as a phrase is useless here. But the funny part is, they're like, okay, now show me all of the campsites west of the people they killed. I'm
well,
like,
why?
And so his explanation is, they always attack at night. And so, oh my God, it was too funny to say.
You can't even say it, Daniel.
I know.
Come on.
Okay, so they always attack
funny.
at night. And as you know, when it's nighttime, when the sun sets, you close the curtains on the west side of your house, meaning they're always going to be attacking houses from the west side where the blinds are closed, so their victims don't see them
it's
coming.
also the driving. When you drive into the sun, you put the visor
But that's
down,
the point I'm about to make, which is like, okay, yes, you want to attack a house from the side with closed blinds. What does that have to do with where you're camping? You're not driving in a straight line from your campsite to their house. Like, they're camping 20 miles away from the people they're going to kill. They can come at the actual house from any angle they want. It's so ridiculous. Oh my God. It's just such an insane, I mean, it's complete gibberish. It makes no sense. Like, he's talking about it like they're on the frontier, attacking a fort or something like that. You always want to attack right at sunset from the west because that way the sun will be in their eyes. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about, Luke?
Well,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
It was insane. That was literal craziness.
But most of their geographic
The
profiling
has always been, but yes,
has always been a little light in the
so
loafers.
And then I love the find me a campsite west. So find me a campsite west of where where Jill lives.
Yeah.
And then just like search the entire place with drones until you find a camp. I'm like,
yeah,
you didn't have to do all this west stuff. You just say logically it makes sense that they're going to be camping because that way there's no paperwork, right? You can put a tent up anywhere. You can live out of your car and they're on the road quickly. So that makes sense. And then there's no paperwork. So it's the perfect way to hide. So just like search for the car. Now it would have helped if they had like had the slightest idea. These can't be the only places people are camping, you know? So you feel like
because they're not going to go to a regular campsite because there would be tracking then.
Yes. But then again, it's not like you say that, but at the same time, you know, it's not like they do background checks on the people who go to camps. this would be much better. And I mean, there's no way they would have had to do this work earlier. If they had some idea what their vehicle looked like, there would have been this would have been a huge help justifying why they would able to think they could, we'll just fly up a drone and find their campsite. Yeah. Because what you're saying is you're looking for a car somewhere in the woods. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cars somewhere in the woods because they're looking for actual campsites, Yeah. And plenty of people just stop in the woods. So it's like, if they had some idea with the car, I would believe more readily their ability to use drones to locate them. But it's not important how they find them because that's not, how they catch them. So we can give them this one and just move on. It's not, it's not
it isn't a big thing. It's just that
it's by no means a big thing. It is silly, though. That's all I wanted to say.
Of course it was. But it made Penelope happy and gave her something to do.
Yes, even though we know she should have been looking into who put up the money for Stewart House.
Yes, and where the other schools were.
This is all a very scary idea. All right, so here's where it gets good. So they've found the campsite. Wait, before we get to the ending, let's just talk about the lawyer scene, the two lawyer scenes, which I love. So he delivers the case and, narrowly avoids getting shot, which is a nice way to set up how the episode ends.
Yes,
I thought organically, very organically, didn't even feel like they were setting any episode.
Nope.
Chef, they were setting stuff up. Chef's kiss. Fantastic work setting that up, guys.
Yeah, I thought that when I got to the end, I went, shit,
okay.
Beautiful.
We were
you
setting
knew
this up.
what was going to happen right
absolutely.
Away because of what they set up with the lawyer.
Oh, so nice.
It was
still
perfect.
Don't know what he's delivered, though.
No.
Inside, we've got a case. We've got a GPS. We don't know what he's delivered, which... Okay, we're going to have to wait till next week to see what the hell Jade is going to do now, because she is, in a bad shape. And the question, of course, is still in the air. Where did this all start? Who's in charge of all this? And, of course, we all know who my prediction is.
Clark Gregg.
I know. I mean, we all know that my prediction is Clark Gregg, because why else you got Clark Gregg in the show? But who knows? Maybe Clark Gregg's covering for somebody super powerful. Who can say? But yes, we don't know where that's going to go. But, so, fun fact about the lawyer. Did you notice the reference in the lawyer's backstory? Did you notice the cute reference to our favorite TV show ever? Well, not favorite TV show ever. It's not Wise Guy, but... Huh? You didn't notice? Okay, I'll tell you.
So.
They gave the lawyer's backstory. He got his law degree from a correspondence course in Guam, and he had been a public defender in Albuquerque.
Yes! Oh, God!
It's all a Better Call Saul reference.
Oh, Better Call about Saul.
How did you not notice that?
Of course! Shit!
Yeah, isn't that hilarious?
Of course, and then you're going... And I'm just going, Saul. I was going to go Breaking Bad Saul.
Yeah, of course. It's a Saul Goodman reference. Oh,
shit,
nice.
I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it.
I missed
Go land crabs.
Although I thought, it struck me as sort of weirdly familiar. Except
the way they, and why are they going out of their way to describe him like this? And it's because it's a reference to our beloved Better Call Saul.
Oh, Better Call Saul. Everybody's got to watch it. Obviously.
Well, they've watched it.
They watched it at Criminal Minds, clearly.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. They know what good TV looks like because they're making it now.
I'm beginning to go, so are you guys trying to check whether we're culturally aware or not? Of TV.
They're testing their audience to see if they're watching the good stuff.
No, they're testing us.
Oh, God, that would be hilarious.
Testing us to see if we're as good as
if we say we
are.
Yeah, okay. If we're catching these references.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So that was a great scene. I love the scene with the lawyer, but what we're here for is the finale. This beautiful finale.
Oh my.
Where he goes to kill her and she talks him into trying to save a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're going out to Jason's cabin.
Yep.
I'm so
and
happy.
She has, and you see, everything has been set up organically because, Has she ever been back to the cabin? And she
Nope.
says no, she
Steven's
can't do
currently
it.
fixing it up.
Yeah,
And
she can't
just
do it.
wants to live with her memories of the cabin. She can't ever look at it again.
Yeah, because that's where Jason was murdered. And
Mhm.
so we already can kind of figure out.
No, but they have planted the cabin in our heads.
Yes.
They want us to remember the cabin.
Yeah, and
right?
not only that, and it is the cabin.
Of course.
But it's not only that, it's how they set it up with, like, so
By the way, can I just say,
manipulative.
she is, but I just want to say, I'm very much complimenting just the production staff, but by putting in the line that Jason is fixing it up. Sorry, Jason. Steven is fixing it up.
Yeah.
That means you don't have to go back to the old episodes and try and find reference photos of what it looked like and ask your set dressers to try and okay, I want you to make it look like this, but like no one's been there for 10 years. And then just like have to look at the faces of their set decorators with this insane task. They've just, no, Steven's fixing it up. So it's just going to be a bunch of tarps and tools.
Yeah. And,
No, it's from a production standpoint, brilliant choice to put in with one line. You save yourself so much work.
So they come in. Yeah. I mean, but they come in like I already knew, yes, the child is going to be Damien, but she does manage to talk him in. She's going to change because she already knows the story that they've been using. Mm-hmm. She's figured out that he killed the one person.
Oh yeah, well,
who was nice to him.
She knows that she knows the backstory that the foster father was not okay with him being put in the program and tried to get him out of it, and then later died. Yes, and so she has been able to put one and one together.
Yeah, I mean, she knows her stuff. See, this is the problem with academics. At an academic theoretical level, she is really, really smart and can put it all together, all this stuff together really, really fast in a way that not even David Rossi
might be
Jason
able to.
Yeah. And David Rossi can figure out that she's going to go to the cabin because he does.
Oh, yeah.
But she is going and then she talks to him.
Yeah.
And she starts,
in the best written scene of the episode.
Yeah, it is a stunning scene that I can feel the emotion that the tears are starting to come to my eyes, sort of thing. And you're watching him, and somewhere deep down inside, he knows that what she's saying is the truth.
Yep.
That, she's figured out. She says, yes, he was your first kill. But again, the frigging arrogance that she does not even consider what this is going to do to him.
Honestly,
unbelievable.
And again, it's a credit to the actor.
Yep.
And his performance that I was surprised he just didn't shoot himself right there. Of course, it's because he knows that he's got someone to do it for him outside.
Yeah. And he's devastated anyway.
And he's devastated. Oh
like this is, and they don't
know. She has
know.
Completely broken this guy's life and destroyed all of the foundations upon which, his life was built. Does she not
from
think...
Stewart House.
From Stewart House, exactly. Right? So does she not think that this is going to be the result? Yeah, no, you're right. She is very arrogant and she is very naive.
It is what I keep saying. Like, I've just been reading some stuff. It is the arrogance of these kinds of professions. Yeah. I've just been reading a really good article by a guy from Michigan called, his last name I think is Caswell.
Okay.
Anyway, Craig Caswell, maybe?
Not important.
Anyway, it's about religion, but when you read the article, and of course it brings it up, you cannot confront people's faith systems.
Nope.
You cannot. You have to work with them as they work. I have argued this. I argued this in my paper for the workshop that never got published. It's on my academia.edu. But you have to walk with people as they figure these things out.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to rip somebody's world apart, you better be able to walk with them and you better be able to sit there. She needed to go to him the minute he understood and fell down, and she needed to hold him, and it doesn't matter what the FBI said. No,
Nope.
She walks out by herself.
Yeah.
This is an indication that this is still an academic exercise for her, a theoretical exercise for her.
She doesn't see him as a patient.
Broken him. She doesn't even see him as a human being.
No. And what's so frustrating about her actions is, at that moment, like, she knows enough to, if she wasn't so arrogant, if she was thinking clearly, if she thought it all the way through, she would understand that if you have shattered someone's worldview, if you, as you say, destroyed their belief system, you better give them something else to lean on right away. And she had the opportunity. And she could have said, he is a mission-based killer. And she could have said to him, now I need you to help me to get the people who did this to you so that it never happens to anybody else. And that's
all she has to say.
All she had to say was that. And he would have confessed to everything, and he would have given them everything. But she didn't, because like you said, fundamentally, she's still not connecting with him as a person. And I understand why she's not. Her life was just threatened by this guy. She is running on adrenaline, right? She is running on adrenaline. She's
no. She's not. The problem is she has never
at its core, she never did. Yes.
No. This is the problem. She's always been this is all theory for her.
Theory to her.
She never got down in the weeds and worked with the people. She was never a crocodile hunter. She was just a swamp cleaner. And
just
you can never get rid of the crop.
This idea that she's just like she got handed lists of abused children and just like picked who should be and said who should or shouldn't be brought in the program. In a sense, it's her fault that they're all standing here right now. I mean, if it wasn't her, if it wasn't Damien, it would have been somebody else. And if it wasn't her picking, maybe somebody else would have been picking. But she is the one who was picking, and she's the one that picked him.
Yeah.
And that's what's so horrifying about it.
And he was number one.
He was gold star one.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And she still was seeing him as a file.
Yep, she was. A file she could control. And she could control him. She knew how to talk him down. She knew how to break his worldview.
Well, of course, because she did the paper.
Did the paperwork, exactly.
Which is still just seeing him as an object.
Yeah. And she knew that, like, the program, part of the program, the thing that was in the original Pressee, right, by David and Jason, was that you have to make them prove that they have gotten over it, right? You have to make them prove their commitment to whatever cause or that they're over it, right? And of course, if they're trying to get him to be a murderer, it would be, of course she could intuit that proof, if they were using the system that
she had set up.
That David and Jason had originally set up. If they were in fact using the system, that could only be he would have to kill someone. And realistically, you would have to kill someone who was breaking your ties with the past. And
yes, who loved you or who you loved.
Exactly. You have to say, we're completely devoted to you. We're breaking all of your human connections.
Yep.
And
so they had him to kill. They lied to him.
Yeah. Created
about
fake evidence that his foster father was a child molester.
Yep.
Oh.
And deep down inside, he knew it wasn't true.
Yeah, but he had been so brainwashed by them at that point, right?
Well, he believed it.
He believed it. And then now that everything's falling apart, he wants to get revenge on one level, subconsciously or not, on the people that made him do that. Because as you say, he knew it wasn't true. So why do you think he's so motivated to get revenge on all the people who put him in the position to do that thing that deep down he knew wasn't right? You know, they had brainwashed him to the point where he believed it in the moment, but then all he's had since are these horrific doubts. And now he's going to make everybody pay for turning him into that.
Yeah. And it's
a great character.
It was absolutely great. And as I said, and then there's Jill walking out, right, with her hands up, and he's taking one step after another. And I'm just going, So are they going to kill him? Is he going to kill himself? What
And then
are they planning on doing? And then he puts up his hand with his fist closed.
Yep. And we're like, oh, okay.
Okay. And you knew what was going to happen because that was the clue between the two of them, and then Jill is devastated. No, don't do that. And I'm just going, what did you expect?
How could he not kill himself after what you did to him?
What you did to him, how do you expect that he would ever be able to live with the knowledge of the rest of his past life and everything? Like,
she didn't give him a project. And that's what it comes down to. She didn't give him a new mission. Nope. And that's what she would have needed to do to get him to live through that night. Again, like I said, how devastated he plays it. Again, I'm like, why is this man not shooting himself? And it's because he knows he can get someone else to do it for him. Right? He knows she's waiting outside with the rifle. Although I will say, and this is the one thing, it's not a big deal. I'm not sure how Jade got there. I mean,
well, she's the driver. She's always been the driver.
No, she was following them in the car they stole because they drove out here in Jill's car.
Yes, I know, but she was waiting.
No, but I'm saying she didn't know where they were going. Jill drove them.
No, yes,
Jill
I know
drove
that.
But my point is, Jade could not have been waiting for them because Jade had to be following them.
No. Yes, but they spent a lot of time in the cottage.
They didn't spend that much time in the cottage.
They gave her enough. Now, they gave her enough time to find a place to, and the thing is that Damien looks down on the ground. You must have noticed that. And there's the red spot on the ground. Oh, yeah. So I'm going, okay, that's Jade.
Yeah, no, I knew that. But no, my point is.
Okay, and the point is
from a production standpoint. Let's say Jade followed them in a car the whole way, which is what the only thing she could have done. She followed them in a car the whole way. That means that, and this is just a production thing, right? This is just a production thing, but that means that from the minute their car stops at Jason's cabin, Jade has to, remember, she's never been here before. Wait. No. She has to, in a place she's never been before, find a place to hide her car, find an escape route, park there, get two assault rifle, sniper rifle and assault rifle out of the trunk, find a vantage point she can see the front of the house from, set up the remote control assault rifle, and get in position to aim the sniper rifle. All before the FBI gets there, and I'd have to check the clock in the episode, 5 minutes later, approximately.
Yeah. Okay, listen, I can buy the sniper.
And then after taking the shot, find her way back in the pitch darkness to her car.
No, she doesn't drive
down
her
an
car
escape.
away.
Listen to me. Find her way in the pitch darkness back to wherever she parked the car and drive an escape down dark roads. Because it's not like she can have her headlights on. She have to a certain extent, right? In a place she's never been before. I'm just saying that's a bit of a stretch to me. And you can buy it a little more if Jill and him were there in the cabin just together for a while before the FBI get there. But the FBI get there right away.
Well, yes, that's to me, the FBI getting there right away is problematic.
Is the most implausible.
The most implausible. Okay.
Yeah.
Because to me, okay, when I saw it, I'm going, oh yeah, okay. Like I don't have the problem with her following them. She's not even worrying too much about the car. I don't think. Like she'll put it away, but she can find a spot to be able to use her sniper rifle. That I can find within the time that they're inside the cottage.
Setting up a remote
But setting up the remote control machine gun, I know.
Hey, another Breaking Bad reference. There you go.
Yeah, I know. But I found, that part of it.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It was a bit of a stretch if you want, but it just doesn't have to be real.
No, the
realistic.
The plot needs her to get away at the end, so we just wish it was a little more realistic how she got away.
Well, you do. I don't care.
You just
because to me, it was so important when I saw that. And then when he sticks his hand up with the closed fist,
I know.
You know what it means even before he is shot.
Yep.
If you have any doubts that Jade is there.
Yeah, if you were paying attention, you know exactly what all this means.
Oh,
you know what it means the minute you see that
I
dot.
Thought, what a
minute you see the dot on the ground, you know he's going to kill himself. And he's going to have her do it because they've made the suicide pact.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she just has some stuff to finish before she kills herself.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something I really enjoyed about the episode. So first off, that's where the episode ends. It's fantastic. We still don't know what's in the box. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going on with Voight. He sadly takes the week off.
Well, I don't know. There was no place for it. Well, with geoprofiling,
there is a place for him because they set up next week's thing that Voight's people have hacked into the witness relocation program database somehow and maybe located where Sydney and the girls are. Because they need to set that up for the season finale, obviously. Yeah. So we're going to see where that goes. But yes, that does get set up this week. There is a big setup for the season, the two-part season finale, which I have to assume it's going to be a cliffhanger next week, and then the oh my god season finale. That's what they did last year. I assume that's what that's what they do basically every year on this show. They do their two-part season finales. We love it. That's not a complaint. We want our two-part season finales. It's amazing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they're setting up for with that little business with the witness relocation program files maybe being compromised. But two things I want to point out. One, right, is what I loved was that we got Tara and Rebecca and Tyler.
Yes.
Right, with the lawyer, all working together. And if I'm wrong about this, you can tell me I'm wrong. But I really feel like they are testing the waters. Like, that scene is there, and a lot of scenes this year, but specifically that scene is there to test the waters and say to the people watching, so, how do you feel about these new cast members? If Joe Mantegna was to finally retire, if Paget Brewster was to finally retire, are you fine with these people just being the show now?
Well, I think people are fine with these people being in the show, not the lawyer, of course.
Not just in the show, but it's like, if this was their show, like if Tyler and Tara were headlining things and, Rebecca was on sometimes, referencing, representing the Department of Justice, like, would the audience be okay with that? How do they play as a team? We've done a lot of mixing things up. We've done Tyler and Emily. We've done lots of Luke and JJ this year, right? Yeah. Like, we're trying to mix things up and say, okay, like, are you guys okay with the new cast members? How is the audience liking this? I feel like we're specifically having bait put out so that the people on Facebook and Instagram who talk about the show will get a chance to see, okay, well, if you don't have David in a scene, if you don't have Emily in a scene, if you've just got the new cast members, I mean, maybe I'm being overly ambitious here, but like, is this a show we can keep doing for another 10 years with new cast members?
Oh, I think you can keep doing it for another 10 years.
You think that, and I think that, but what I think the show is doing is specifically asking the audience.
I would say that, okay, here's how I would see it. Please. Like, first of all, I have no desire for Emily to go.
No, of course not.
No, she is not going to retire yet. No. Joe is around my age, so at some point, like I'm still working. I'm still doing stuff, so we've both
always historically joked about this show being Joe Mantegna's retirement.
Yeah, but
it ain't anymore
some of us never
retire. No.
Yes. Yeah. Some of us never retire. Okay.
Realistically,
we will die with our boots on. And that's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
But he may, yes. Yeah. I mean, he may at some point, but remember, we're now only talking, say, 3 or 4 months out of his year.
Exactly.
It's much so it's only 10
episodes
than
it used to be on him.
And he's just hitting it out of the park. Absolutely. Every friggin' time. Yeah. So, but he might, yes. Now, but Emily's got to stay for a while. I mean, I'm sorry, but she belongs to your generation. She's not going anywhere. I'm sorry, she can't.
No, absolutely.
But I would be perfectly happy having, for example, Aisha, if we're going to talk about this, Aisha taking over, because I still can't see the character JJ taking over. Luke's not going to take over.
No, Aisha would be the perfect one to take over.
But Aisha has developed, sociopathic though she may be, has developed over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And has shown the gravitas, and she is
necessary. You would buy her as leading the BAU if and when Emily decides to step down.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that they have developed her as a stable character. They are developing her stability. We can put it down to her going to Al-Anon, and dealing with her issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's fine. And she and Rebecca have managed to, like, Rebecca was really good this episode. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can see why you're saying that.
Yeah.
Tyler for sure is coming back on the 3rd season.
They would be crazy not to keep bringing him back. He's fantastic.
He's coming back the 3rd season. So for sure, that was already decided as far as I can tell, given some of the stuff I was reading.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. People can, comment if I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
But fundamentally, I honestly think some of this stuff feels like they're testing out how the audience is gonna react. Are these the characters we want to move forward with if we're gonna pitch this as we're doing another 10 years of Criminal Minds. We're gonna make this a perennial show. It's gonna be not the kind of revolving cast you see in Law and Order, but like get used to seeing new people on the show.
Every now and then.
And I feel like that's what partnering Rebecca and Tyler and
Luke and JJ are making a good partnership too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've been great together. But I think that's what giving us all this Tara and Tyler and Rebecca is there to do, and is saying just making sure the audience is comfortable with new cast members starting to take more and more positions of prominence.
Well, what's interesting, and that's because you see the interaction between Rebecca and Tyler, because that's the key. Because still, Aisha is not a big role.
No.
But what she is doing is being, and it started already in the last season.
Yeah.
Because remember that the last season opened with her
going to find the container. Yeah.
Yeah. And so outside of Seattle. And, so, I can see what you're saying because, because obviously Paramount or CBS or whoever it is, I don't care, Disney.
Yeah. Whoever is picking up the tab.
Whoever's picking up the tab.
Whatever conglomeration of independent production agencies and foreign distributors is picking up the tab for this show.
Yeah. They seem to be happy. They gave it a 3rd season before the second season even aired.
I know, that blew me away.
Yeah. And this season is, Aisha's
the
right.
Show's ever been. Yeah.
It's blowing it away. This season is just, and getting Felicity Huffman in there.
She's, again, such a complicated character. And they've managed to give us so much of her. Mm-hmm. Right? So much of what makes her complicated and makes her interesting and totally a believable part of Jason's world. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, so fast.
And of course, this is going to be, I would assume, a devastating moment for her next week.
I would imagine, yeah.
Because
I would imagine this is going to be crippling.
Yeah. That she still does not understand the full
horror
of what she has done, what she did, because you could see it when she came, justifying herself. Well, yeah, but this is what I anticipated would be done,
and I thought it would be a good way.
Yeah, and she isn't connecting to the horror of what they've done, but she hasn't been there for the first 7 episodes or 6 episodes, right?
No, so she doesn't know about all of these gouged out eyes.
She has had nothing essentially to do with the BAU
in decades.
So she has avoided, and she obviously turned her back on that whole program when she left.
Oh yeah, she
and
didn't
never gave
follow
it a
up at all.
second thought. So,
Nope.
Yeah, it's to the extent that she didn't even look at the files. Like she didn't even know where the files were. They had to go back to the house and find them.
Find them.
She
But
knew
just
she
the
had them.
horror that
Yeah.
like seeing her face to face with the guy that she did this to.
Yeah.
You know,
And she
it's like,
still couldn't figure it out.
no. Oh, such a good episode. All right. And now the other thing I wanted to bring up is this show. I mean, we've talked about how this season is just about QAnon, right?
Yeah.
And it is. It is just about QAnon because fundamentally, we talk so much about how Americans hate their children. It's something that comes up a lot. Like if you see the way Americans treat their children, it is an endless nightmare. And Americans aren't the only one who do this, obviously. But there is like this thing that is like central to the American psyche of just being monstrous to children, and always has been. But at the same time, conversely, right? There is nothing Americans love more than the idea of children and innocence. Like, they love the idea of it. And all you have to do to get whatever you want is to say that children are in danger. All you have to do is say someone is hurting a child, someone is endangering a child, and it turns off the Americans' ability to critically think, right? It turns off the Americans' ability to critically think, and then you can just have whatever you want. And that's what QAnon's all about, right? You need people to support Donald Trump. Donald Trump is objectively a monster. So you make up a bigger monster. And you say, if you vote for Donald Trump, you are going to be fighting this giant monster. And so you get people to vote for Donald Trump, and everything gets worse. But the monsters are still out there, so, you vote for Donald Trump again. And even though when Donald Trump loses the second time, like, nothing actually gets worse, and everybody's lives just kind of get generally better, and there's not drama every week, and there's not a nightmare every week, and there's not constant scandal. There's nobody talking about the monster anymore. You don't feel like you're fighting a monster anymore. And so you need to keep fighting that monster, and that's what keeps people in the cult. That's what people keeps people believing. And it just gets worse and worse and worse, and eventually, you start to think Donald Trump isn't doing a good enough job fighting the monster, so you try to shoot him. Or whatever it is that motivated this guy. Wouldn't shock me if that's what it was. We still don't know.
We don't know, except that apparently he did post something on his Facebook page about how he was. You watch him on the 13th. It's all going to start on the 13th or something.
Oof. Yeah, and he maybe wanted to kick off a civil war. Who the hell knows?
Who knows? Who the hell knows? It's
as much as we talk about QAnon, right? I want to remind everybody that the whole idea of saying children are in danger to get a political end. QAnon is the most extreme version of that. Yeah. But everybody remember, that's what anti-abortion politics are. That's all. It's an imaginary threat to children so that Republicans can gain political power. Now, we've talked about this a bit, but no, we have to mention this because the show is talking about this exact phenomenon.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, right? Back in the 60s, into the 70s, really, because the 60s when it stopped working, basically Republicans couldn't run on hating black people anymore, so they had to make up something new. And so they made up being anti-abortion. That's why, essentially all Baptists were fine with abortion right up until the late 70s, because they needed to make up a new thing to organize Republican voters around. And so this is what they made up. And just watch, it's already started. Now that abortion is, illegal in most of the country, and they're going to, if Trump gets in, make it national again, they're going to go back to it being about oppressing non-white people. Now that the code word, they're going to start organizing around, they're going to need to keep people organized, so they're going to start organizing around oppressing non-white people. Like, that is their next step. After they completely control women, they have to get rid of all non-white people too. Like, this is It is the fascist playbook, and they are going down it beat by beat.
Yes, it's a beat by beat, and nobody wants to sort of. I don't know. Although I will tell you, I've just been reading a book called The Investigator, and it's by the guy who does the Lucas Davenport series.
Oh, okay.
And it's his and Weather's adoptive daughter, Letty. She's the investigator. She's been working in Washington. She gets put on this case of stolen oil with somebody from the DHS.
Okay.
So the oil is being stolen, and they can't figure out how from these Texas
supply points or depots or whatever.
Depots, right? And they can't figure out how. And so they've been sent out to do that. And of course, for them, the question is, it becomes but why are people doing this money? And we have from the very beginning in the book, just watching the development of this woman and her militias. And she starts something up on the dark web and stuff like that. And it's an interesting book. It's called The Investigator.
Okay.
So I can't remember. It's the guy that did the Prey series. Everything is Prey. I just can't remember his name right now. But it's the Lucas Davenport set in Minnesota.
Okay.
For the most part. Virgil Flowers is another character in all of this, but this one it was actually, or it is. I've got like the last 20 pages left.
Okay.
But it has been, and it is about sort of these people. They might, if they were interested in voting, would probably vote Trump. But there's nothing about the political about their voting, because they're not interested in voting. They just want to save America for Americans. Yep. And so it's all about economics and trade and the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting look at sort of the same kind of a development without the massive political side of things, or even the religious side of things. There's no Franklin
It's
Graham.
responding to the same conditions.
Yeah, it's responding to the poverty, the inequality. And this is just the other side. I mean, there are two ways to deal with this. And this is the opposite of just supporting the government, supporting the state, right?
Yeah.
And everybody around that. I mean, you're seeing that in Canada now too, that this is problematic. You know, this idea somehow or another that the federal government is messing around in places they shouldn't be involved in. And I'm going, no, I'm sorry. I like my dental care. My last dental appointment cost me $10 instead of $285.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Yeah. Thank you, dental care program.
Yeah.
Why, it's almost like the reason we invented a government was to take care of people. I know, shocking, right?
Yeah, shocking. So what happens is very interesting, and I am thoroughly hoping that all those dentists who don't want to join the program lose lots of patience. Because, because this is what I keep telling people is no. So if your dentist doesn't accept your dental card, go find a dentist who does.
Yeah, absolutely. My dentist, I was in there the other day, and they're like some people coming in who are just like, maybe don't see the dentist enough, but they're retired and they've got access to the dental card. So now they're coming in and getting treatment, and everybody's happy about it.
Yes. And
it's working for everybody.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's getting us a bit afield from this.
It is a field from where we are.
It's mostly it's a Sunday. It does relate though to
it does relate to what this season is about, because the season fundamentally
is about conspiracies and
how they're used to control people.
Yeah.
Right? And I know it's weird to point out that being anti-abortion is a conspiracy theory that was created by the powerful to control people, but it is. It absolutely is.
Well, yes.
And you might say, oh, well, what about the Catholics in there? If abortion was legal, where would you get nuns from? I'm sorry. Nuns are the ones doing all the hard work, keeping the Catholic Church going. And if abortion was legal, where would you get a nun? Where'd you find a nun? People don't talk about it, but that's how you end up with nuns. These women are, well, they're not women at the time. They are 14-year-old girls who get pregnant and got shipped off to a nunnery to have the baby. And you know what? A lot of them stay because there's nothing left for them in the outside world. That's where nuns come from, everybody, being anti-abortion. You want to know why the Catholic Church is anti-abortion? Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have any nuns and they'd have to pay people to do all this stuff.
He's oversimplifying this, guys.
I am. Look up the term Magdalene laundry and tell me I'm oversimplifying this.
Well, no, you are oversimplifying.
We'll
go do medieval history. Come on.
Okay, that's medieval history. I'm talking the present day. But I'm saying Magdalene laundry, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money the church is generating. There's a lot of industry that the church is generating using effectively slave labor of all of these women who come.
They don't exist anymore, of course.
No, but they did for a very long time.
For a very long time. Yes.
For a very long time. So I'm just saying,
now, yes. Okay.
It's worth pointing out. Isn't it an oversimplification? But there you go.
Yes, they're the anti-abortion thing. As I said, it is one of those things that made strange bedfellows.
It really did.
And I have not watched anything of the Republican convention that's going on right this week, and I'm not watching it. And literally the only thing
we're going to leave it here. Here's the one thing you know about the Republican convention. Would you like to know what happened at the Republican convention? Because of the
Trump
Republican
became
convention?
Jesus?
No, not that. So much more entertaining.
Sorry.
The gay hookup app Grindr had its servers crash in that part of America
in Milwaukee.
Because there had never been that many gay people assembled in Milwaukee trying to hook up at the same time before. So everything you need to know about the Republican Party exists in that statement.
Oh, that is
None of them
funny.
believe it. None of them live it. They're all just lying to you to try and get power. None of the Republican people with any kind of power believe any of the stuff they say. It's all just a lie. Trump is paid
funny.
for
That's
50
typical.
abortions. Just remember that, everybody. Trump is paid for 50 abortions. But yeah, the Grindr thing blew my mind. I'm so
that is so, yes, that is definitely hilarious.
It crashed their server because they had never had anywhere near that many connections in Milwaukee before.
Yeah, in this upper.
It's beautiful. All right, so that's that.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for listening to us for the first hour.
Yes.
Which was, I think, a very intelligent breakdown of the show and what a wonderful episode this was. And if you stuck around for the last 20 minutes of us just getting mad about stuff, we thank you for that too. We were talking about doing a Sunday show because, Trump got shot, but then the media is so insane that no one really remembers or cares that Trump got shot anymore.
Well, no, apparently the Republican
4 days later and nobody cares.
The Republican convention has become a spiritual place to be. And, and then Biden got COVID. I mean, this guy can't win for a living, right?
COVID is looking bad. COVID's looking bad. But anyway, maybe we'll do a Sunday show about this.
Yeah,
America's gone nuts.
I'll be in Ottawa.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it'll be for next week, but yeah. Maybe next week we do a Sunday show just about the ridiculous state of America at the moment and how absurd everything has gotten.
Yes.
All right. But for now, though, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if there's any profiling related fiction you'd like us to check out when we wrap up Those Who Kill, which you don't know what that is yet, but trust me, it's going to be a ride. Drop us a line at profilingcriminalminds@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If, and this is the big one, you were listening on an app podcatcher or checking it out on the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. That's how people find out about the show. We're going to see you back here next week for the much anticipated episode 9. But until then, I'll say that's right. Au revoir.
Have a good week.